So recently in NBA news, we found out that if Rudy Gobert was to be made available, the Toronto Raptors would have interest in trading for him. Obviously, this is big news. Rudy's a top 10 center in the league. And if you know the Raptors of the last few years since they won the championship, their biggest weakness has been the center spot. And a lot of people are hating on this move, saying it makes no sense to get Gobert. But in my opinion, I actually would think it's a smart move, or at least think the Raptors should look into it for the right place. And this led me to make this video where I'll just be discussing what the move would look like and what it would look like if Rudy Gobert was to join the Raptors and whether or not it makes any type of sense. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go over 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. To talk about what I think the trade package would look like, I think there's two options for what it could look like. The first trade would be 2 of OG, Gary Trent, Fred VanVleet, and we send 2 of those guys to Utah, maybe with a second round pick or something, maybe a bench player, kind of centered around that. And the trade I think is better for the Raptors is to trade Fred VanVleet, Malachi Flynn, Kem Birch, and Svi Mykhailiuk to Utah. I think that's a trade that makes way more sense, but regardless, I think people are overrating the amount that we're going to have to give up for Gobert. Obviously, he's a player who's really impactful and good and stuff, but his trade value is at an all-time low right now. But I'm not going to act like we just have to give up some trash players. We're going to have to give up players who actually helped us last season if we want to get a guy of Gobert's caliber. But I don't think we're going to have to give up a bunch of guys like that. Let me know if you disagree, but I think that's something similar to what the move would be. To talk about why this move makes sense, it isn't even because of Gobert. We all know the Raptors are trying to start something different because most teams usually have a smaller point guard, smaller shooting guard, a lot of short players on the court. The Raptors are trying to switch it, and now because the whole league is trying to just build small ball right now, having 6'8" centers and stuff. The Raptors are trying to be different. The Raptors are trying to have every player on the court be over 6'8" and lanky and a good defensive player. They're trying to be a truly positional team, and adding Rudy Gobert to that will just enhance that even more. Last season, the Raptors were already one of the better teams in the league when it came to holding their opponents to not a lot of points at the rim. They ranked 9th in the league, but I truly believe with Gobert, this would be the hardest team to score on in the paint. They have so much versatile defenders like Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. If he's not part of the trade, Gary Trent Jr. is a solid defender. That's just a lot of really versatile defenders. Even Precious Achiuwa, he's very versatile for a center on defense. He can guard a lot of guards on the perimeter. That might be one of the most versatile teams on defense in league history. Last season, the Raptors were only the 14th best defense in the league. I think they could have been 10th in the league, top 10 if they were healthy. But regardless, this team would actually be a historic defense with Rudy Gobert man in the middle. Also, when you realize they're coached by Nick Nurse, one of the best coaches in the league and arguably the best defensive coach in the league. His schemes are crazy. This would truly bring this team to the next level. If the Raptors had a big like Gobert to control the middle versus the Philadelphia 76ers, the Raptors would have won that series. I'm aware that Rudy Gobert sometimes gets exposed a lot in the playoffs, and that's why people hate him. That's why people think he's overrated. That's why people don't think he's as good on defense as he actually is hyped up to be. But I will say this, if you actually watch Utah Jazz games in the playoffs and you don't just stay on the Rudy Gobert hate train, you would actually realize that the Jazz have some of the worst perimeter defense in the league. Part of the reason why Gobert gets exposed, quote unquote, is because their perimeter defenders are just terrible outside of Royce O'Neal, and they don't give enough effort on the perimeter. They depend so much on Rudy. A lot of times the defenders just get easily beat, which forces Rudy to help, and then that leaves shooters wide open, and it would lead to Rudy getting blamed. And yes, I know that Rudy sometimes gets attacked in the pick and roll because he's not the greatest perimeter defender, but if we're being honest, what other big man is really good at guarding the perimeter besides guys like Bam Adebayo and a select few of others? And I also don't think Rudy Gobert is as bad as people think on the perimeter. There's plenty of possessions where he played really good defense on Luka Doncic, but at the end of the day, he's still a slow 7-footer. He's not going to be Bam Adebayo. No one is really Bam Adebayo. But the thing is, if the Raptors get Rudy Gobert is going to be hidden on the perimeter because the Raptors will have so much long and versatile defenders. And those defenders are not going to be getting blown by as easily as they did on the Utah Jazz, which is going to allow Rudy Gobert to stay in the paint and just protect the rim. They're not going to be asking him to save the whole defense, because without Gobert, they're still a good defense. But with him, they're probably the best defense in the league. Obviously, Gobert is going to help sometimes because everyone gets blown by in this, with this level of talent. But it's just not going to happen as much, and that means Rudy's going to get to just truly be a rim protector. When it comes to the offensive side of the floor, Rudy is one of the best lob catchers in the league. I don't know if the Raptors would be amazing on offense with him because they're already a team that lacks a lot of shooting. And Precious Achiuwa in the second half of the season was actually really good from three. But at the end of the day, people act like Rudy's useless on offense. As I said, he's probably the best lob catcher in the league. He's a really good offensive rebound and putback guy. The Raptors haven't had someone that could catch lobs as good as him since Bismack Biyombo. Overall, I think this trade would just make the team better as long as we don't give up a crazy amount for him. When it was announced the Raptors were interested in trading for Rudy Gobert, every single comment was negative. All of them were just Raptor fans saying how they shouldn't make a move for him. The only reasonable ones were the ones who say we shouldn't give up a lot, but most of the fans were just saying they didn't want him on the team because he's trash. But that just shows that there's a lot of casuals, because even though he's not a perfect player, he still is one of the most impactful players in the league. Just off what he does in the regular season, he's a top 10 player. I'm not saying he's actually a top 10 player in the league, but I'm talking about impact wise, like how he impacts the team. At least in the regular season, he has a top 10 impact in the league. He's the most impactful defender in the league, at least in the regular season. Put some type of respect on this guy's name. I'd love to see him on the Raptors. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think Rudy Gobert on the Raptors would actually be a good move for us. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to help my channel grow. And play that intro.